Do you believe in miracles? We got Fizzle in the house. Fizzle, what's good, man? Fizzle, glad to have you here.
Let's go. This the South Harmon Podcast. Glad you here today. Hit that Patreon link if you here to stay. Dynasty best ball, that's my favorite way. 40 chess trade show. Let's make a trade today or check a AMA. You know Adam at the ATM. Mike always in the building. He gon' stay with him. They gon' start every show off with their own trade. Fantasy's a big ocean. They made their own wave. Make sure you tapping in Tuesdays and Saturdays. Tuesday night, Saturday morning, ain't no better way. Hit that notification bell when the news break. Go subscribe right now, don't get the news late. Destination Devy, that's the team. Dynasty football, man, that's my favorite thing. I remember Biggie said it was all a dream. Now people watching on their phones and computer screens. Welcome to the team. Let's start the show.
Welcome back in, everybody, to another edition of the Dynasty Trade Show. So glad you could join us. If you could do us a huge favor, go down, hit that like, hit the subscribe button, and comment away. Tell us we're dumb. Tell us we're crazy. Tell us we're geniuses. I don't think we'll hear that very much, but
maybe once.
I can dream, man.
It was all a dream.
If you'd like your deals featured, make sure you go check us out. Patreon.com/South Harmon. Get you in the door. $1 will get you in the Shithead Trades channel. You can post your deals here, make fun of other people that you take them, or you could be like what are we down to? 5 goat rings? He's lost a couple, so 5 goat rings now. It was 7.
He's definitely down to 5. We'll debate 4 next week, but right now it's 5.
And if you'd like to know exactly what we're talking about, Koopa Troopa, the third member of South Harmon, you don't see him on camera very often. Other than that awesome 2-hour live stream we did, southharmonff.com, Warp Tool, League Simulator, go get you some today. And if you like, maybe score yourself a South Harmon bourbon glass, Adam. You may or may not have one of those. South Harmon t-shirt.
Oh,
huh?
This. Oh,
right?
Yeah. Right. We got gear popping off, so check it out on the website. But if you don't, join the Patreon. We've been giving it away too, so you can get it either way.
Let's get into it, man. We got some deals to talk about. Did you find one of ours? I know it's kind of the Dynasty Dead period. It's hard to find a deal of yours and I's, but did you find one?
Well, here's what I'll tell you. I did, but then there's this guy. It made me stop. Name is Stopa, but Mike, what did you do to this poor soul, man? Like, I'm genuinely worried for a lot of reasons. I'm going to give you the details, but Mike, this is crazy. This is criminal activity. 12 team Superflex best ball start 12. What did you do to this person, man? You went up and got a quarterback. This is like last year's process, right? You send a second and a third, and you get back a 7th. In best ball, you don't even lose out a player. Like, what?
The draft hasn't happened yet, so we did the Derby where we got the pick selections, and I'm like, well, while we wait, because they have a scheduled draft date of this upcoming weekend, so I don't know, June 20-something, whatever it is. That's not how I roll, man. Once everybody's paid, we do the Derby, then we start the draft.
Of course, it's immediate.
This is not my league. It's another league that I'm in. There's a few experts in here. Alan Seslowski from Player Profiler, Roto World. He's in here.
I like his stuff, by the way. He just did a show. They had Scott on.
Right, with Matt.
He's good. He's good.
Right, and they did one. He did one with Matty Kiwoom.
Yeah. Right? He does good stuff. I like Alan.
There's a few guys in here. Our guy Kevin Bachledge, he's in here.
Is he really?
Fan of the show, right?
Hey, listen, hold on real quick. You're asking about me and you getting deals done. Like, how come you're in all these leagues I'm not in anymore? Like, what happened?
Listen, I love you to death, but competing against myself over and over and over again gets real old real fast.
So I'm in this new league. It's called the Heroes versus Villains. And what I'm realizing is Mike basically has me as the hero and the villain because it's the Spider-Man gif. But he's also telling me I'm a villain because I just steal his stuff. But nah, go ahead. What do you got?
So there's a lot of people in here, and a lot of people who haven't played best balls leagues with me. There's a few people in here who follow my content. There's a lot of people who have no idea who the hell I am. So I figured as soon as the Derby was done, we had draft selections. Let me just go send out some deals. I got nothing else to do, and let me see if I can get the top 8 quarterback in. Adam, if this was a shit patron league where everybody listens to us and pays attention, do I come a little bit harder with the offer, the initial offer? Yeah, because I want to get it done. But in these ones, I'm more like, yeah, let me send my second and third. Let me get your first and sixth, I think is exactly how the offer went. And I got countered with the first and seventh. And I go, boom, this was easy, done, smash, accept. So
you're telling me what you didn't even put in here, which is one of the things I've been trying to include, is basically if we would have had the full box up in the upper right, this came from Stopa?
Yeah, this came from Stopa. This was the counter to
I'm basically, if you watched a couple days ago on Saturday morning, you saw Mike pretty upset and frustrated and furious, as he would say. I'm so ready to press the button to go to the next trade, but I'm going to let you finish. Because this is crazy. He sent this to you?
Yeah. So just another thing, Adam and
can we know what the picks are? Because this is making me upset.
Don't know yet. Draft hasn't started, so we'll find out. By the time this airs, the first round should be done.
My goodness.
So. I would hope the first round's done by then. Anyways, this is another thing too. Like plug the league settings into the Warp tool, pull it up, and you go. Obviously, the top 4 quarterbacks, just about in any league you look, are an advantage. This is one where I talk to you and I go, man. If I go and I look at 2021 or I go look at 2020, 2020, I go back a couple years and I look at it, I go, damn, it's not just the top 4. Last year was bad for quarterbacks with injuries and, kind of underperformances. Maybe that one was an outlier because if I look at the 2 years prior, the top 15, the top
What's
16
the league
quarterback, the top 15 or top 16 quarterbacks are all huge warp advantages. So I always like to secure 2 top 8 ones. It just so happened I started off with what I thought was a low ball offer, what I wouldn't send to a South Harmon patron if we did, because they know better.
Right.
I sent my 2 and 3 for his 1 and 6, and I got the counter of 1 and 7, which was so hard for me to just go and hit accept. So I fully plan Adam. I don't even care if the draft hadn't started by then. I'm going to take at 104, which is the pick I have, where I picked in the Derby.
Who's
at
left?
104, I'm taking, Burrow,
Allen Hurts, right?
One of those guys. And then at the 108, I mean,
Fields at worst, right?
Heaven help me if somebody between 5 and 7 takes Jefferson or takes Chase or takes Bijan or, reaches for Anthony Richardson, whatever the case may be. But at the worst, I'm getting Justin Fields at 108. I'm getting,
and maybe you got a Lamar or a Lawrence
at
a
maybe
great
I'm
scenario.
Getting one of those guys.
But
so
even
I'm
then,
start off with the quarterbacks, and it cost me a second and third. I'm good, and I got the 7th back, which I'll make up for it there.
Right, and I think, honestly, man, the other big part is like in lineup, right? So let's say this time of year, you're like, all right, what I'm gonna do is give you my 108. So I'm gonna have now, all the seconds. So I'm going to have 2 seconds, 2 thirds. So basically, I'm going to say, all right, in the second round, I know I can probably get a Dak with the pick you have. And then it's like, all right, 209, I'll get CD Lamb. And then the third, I get Cooper Kupp and another really good receiver. And this is talking lineup for a second, right?
Right.
So now it's like, all right, you do that, and then you kind of view the room. And then at quarterback, you're like, all right, maybe it's the 5th, the 6th, the 7th. You can kind of weigh out when you need to get the quarterback, and now you have Dak and, a Cousins or a Carr or something. Not saying that's sexy, but in lineup start 12, maybe it's like, man, I'm so juiced everywhere else in Warp in my league that it makes sense and my roster construction is great. The thing is, though, in best ball, right? Now, this is going to sound, almost like blasphemy to some people, but the difference for me, though, in a CD Lamb versus in the 7th, like you almost every time get an Ayuk type.
Right.
Not saying that Ayuk is worth CD Lamb, but if I stack enough of those types at discount, I get a CD Lamb. Right? But what you don't get in best ball is whatever 108 is, whether it's Fields, Lawrence, Lamar. The only way you lose that is if that player becomes hurt and does not equate to your lineup in the most meaningful time of the year, like Lamar or Hurts in the playoffs last year. Aside from that, you cannot replicate that top 8 quarterback value where you can, with bodies, replicate a high-end receiver. And I guess when you just look at numbers and I talk about the differences, like that to me is the biggest thing.
Well, also too, like in a best ball league, if you think about it, just in hindsight, you get 2 elite quarterbacks, so you're already set up with an advantage over the rest of the league. Now, one of the other things that's just completely out of my control is the fact I traded my 2nd and my 3rd round pick, so I don't pick again until I come up in the 4th round, Adam. And at that point, I get to clearly choose what direction I want, whether it's getting old veterans and going with the whole, I'm going to have 2 elite quarterbacks and I'm just going to backfill with old running backs and old wide receivers and guys who are going to really produce at a warp level. Or maybe at that point, maybe this league really values old guys. And all of a sudden I'm sitting there at the 4th round and I'm going, damn, like all the old targets that were valuable at here. Well, maybe I just go youth. Maybe I go with young wide receivers. Maybe I go with like young tight ends. Whatever the case may be, I don't have to worry about picking my direction again until the 4th round when the entire league has had multiple rounds to decide my direction for me. So it's the ultimate way to be water where, listen, always having 2 elite quarterbacks is never a bad idea. It really doesn't matter the format other than 1 QB leagues, which you and I don't play in. But if you're in a super flex league that's a 12-team league, getting 2 elite quarterbacks, lineup, best ball, deep starting rosters, short starting rosters, they matter to varying degrees, but it's always usually pertinent if the cost is correct to go ahead and get it. And in best ball, you kind of mentioned it, the 2nd and 3rd round pick, that CeeDee Lamb, whoever it may be, they're in the 2nd round. They're great players. But in best ball, you also mitigate a lot of those positional advantages with that 7th round pick. Yes, Brandon Ayuk, Michael Pittman Jr., Jerry Jeudy, DJ Moore, these kind of guys are not CeeDee Lamb. Nobody's trying to argue that. But can they get close in a best ball? Absolutely. And now I have 2 shots in the 7th round to find one guy that even comes relatively close, if not 2 guys. Plus, it's so hard for whoever picks at the 209 unless the chips fall right to them to match the warp or match the advantage that you're going to get at the 108 with the quarterback selection, let alone the fact I'm going to be one of the only teams that's going to have 2 of those guys. So you just kick that off right out the gate. Now, it remains to be seen if somebody else makes a move to go get 2. A lot of people are hesitant because the draft hasn't started yet. We're 3-4 days out. Why make trades now? I get it. But this is one of those, as soon as you got the Derby, I go, damn it. I'm spamming offers to everybody in the top 8. And to be completely honest with you, when I looked at Warp, I spammed offers to everybody in the top 9 because I go, worst case scenario, I end up with Deshaun Watson. I'm still fine with that. Like, worst case scenario, people take 8 quarterbacks in a row. 9th quarterback, I take Deshaun Watson or Justin Fields or whoever the hell that they didn't value at that pick. So sure. I loved it. The fact that I got a 7th back when I started at a 1 and a 6, I figured the counter was going to be something crazy. It wasn't that bad. And a lot of the other deals I sent out, especially for like the Allen pick, the Mahomes or the Hurts pick, I'm like, yeah, I'll give you my 2, 3, 4. Let me get your 1, 8, and 10. You know, when I got down to the 108, I'm like, well, let me offer just a little bit less, right? Why overshoot if I don't need to?
Yeah. I mean, for the comments' sakes, you know, because we're already at 13 minutes in.
I'm sorry.
No. I mean, you know, we do.
Move on.
We gloat, and that.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I mean, it's
13 minutes on a slam dunk trade.
You win. Let me say, you're on fire. If it's NBA Jam, you win. If it's McNutted wins. All right. Let's
finish him in Mortal Kombat.
Finish him. Liebert. Liebert, I pulled a trade of yours, buddy. It feels like it's been a while since we've seen you on the trade show.
Right.
Let's see what he did.
Our Canadian friend, man, and he's from way up north.
Way up north, yeah. It's like almost Tom. I don't know about Tom, but he's way up north.
I'm sorry, Canada. He's way up north. Tom is like Ice Road Trucker north.
It's like Antarctica, basically, right? So
right, basically.
Liebert is acquiring. We had Ridley on last episode.
Unfortunately, it wasn't great
Depends who you ask.
Ridley fans, right?
Depends who you ask. Dotson in a second, Mike. We talk about Liebert getting Dotson in a second and 25.
Right.
Ridley, Campbell in a 24 third. This is a 12-team Superflex lineup start. 12, it's a 1.75 tight end premium. I'm asking you here, Mike, because there's upside with Ridley right now in that offense. People are pretty torn on Dotson. I like a lot of his metrics, but, no quarterback. Not the sexiest name in Dynasty. And then a second that's 2 years removed. And you get Paris Campbell and a 24 third. Now, granted, it's lineup, but what do you think here, man?
I don't know if it's hot takey to say.
By the way, Liebert's in a rebuild if you didn't know. I mean, you should know by the trade, but yeah.
I prefer Calvin Ridley to Jahan Dotson, but they're in the same tier for me.
Are they? Ooh.
They are. I got
Talk
Calvin
to the
Ridley.
people. Interesting.
I got Calvin Ridley at 32, which whether you think it's high or low, like it feels right. The problem with like Calvin Ridley is like, Adam, let me be frank, there is so many damn good wide receivers that ranking wide receivers like 1 through 40, 1 through 45 is really hard to do. Like you have some layups, Jefferson, Chase, where you play CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown, Tyreek, like you get some layups at the top.
Sure.
But then when you really start getting into it, you're like, damn, man, this is really hard. There's so many good wide receivers. Ridley, Dotson, same tier. I love Jahan Dotson. We've been big Jahan Dotson fans for a while. You look at – this is going to be a shout-out that we haven't make. I know we sit here and we shout out the Scott Connors and the Ray GQs, the Destination Devy team, because they're fantastic. But big shout-out to Matt Harmon, Reception Perception, has been a huge one to sell me on Jahan Dotson especially. Like I had some priors.
His comeback routes, right?
And then, you see the graph of Jahan Dotson running routes come out and his success rate, and you go, damn, like this is really good. Same thing for Brandon Ayuk, another love of our show, where you go, apparently this guy is just really good at football.
We fought y'all for a while, and it seems like keep trade cut at wide receiver 19. You guys are starting to come around, but
Jahan Dotson's at 19.
Sorry, Ayuk. I'm talking about Ayuk.
Okay, well that's fair. That's
fair.
But
but real quick, let me just say for a second, where do you think Dotson is on keep trade cut?
I'm gonna guess 30.
You got the wrong front number already.
It's in the 20s.
It is. Keep going.
What? 24.
The GOAT. 23.
LeBron James. Sorry. I don't want to start another fight.
Mike.
Okay. Oh.
Mike, are you hard of hearing? The GOAT. We're talking about Michael Jordan. All right. Anyway, and again.
I'm sorry. But anyways.
You know what?
Dotson
I'm going to do it right now.
I know. Don't do it. Dotson
right now.
Same team.
Mike, I'm not going to do it. We'll do it on an AMA.
Don't do it.
We'll do it on an AMA.
Dotson Ridley anyways for me, same tier. Now I prefer Calvin Ridley. If you look at me and tell me the rest, in a lineup league, a 25 second or a 24 third and Paris Campbell. Now in a best ball league, I may be more apt to be like, the second's a couple years out. I get the third next year for liquidity. I get to buy a running back or a spot start, wherever the hell I feel like I get to buy another, receiver, whatever the case may be. I can maybe make a case for the Paris Campbell the 24 third side. But the way it's constructed in the lineup start 12, even though it's a deeper lineup league, which lends you to depth.
Yeah.
This is the Dotson in the second side all day for me, and I don't think I even think twice about it. Rebuilder or contender. I know Calvin really probably has the ceiling to score more points than Jahan Dotson, but if they wound up the same or Jahan Dotson was ahead of Calvin Ridley after a full year and probably a half at this point off, I wouldn't be shocked at all.
I'll say, whether it's for the King MBJ or it's the King LBJ, it was admirable what you tried to do here. Like you're trying to defend that side, but I'll be honest, man. Like this is as clear as the GOAT discussion, as clear as the Liebert discussion. let's even say they flip-flop, right? Because right now it's June. Like, let's even say that Liebert's, Dotson, and Ridley, they meet that threshold point of 25. Let's say they kind of... I don't want Campbell anymore. Like I had, he's an Ohio State guy. You know, I had my little, fling with him, and I found out that she's crazy, and I'm good. Like I'm out on the Campbell business, and then I don't care if it's a year later. I'll take the second over the third, and that's King and BJ, and second in the running. Second in the running.
That's messed up, man.
I know. And that's why you do a show with me, because it's messed up. Actually, a goose acquiring Rashad Bateman, the 24 third, and the 25 third for DeAndre Swift. Mike, it's 12-team Superflex best ball, 1.5 tight end premium, start 11. Here's the thing. All of a sudden, this Bateman cortisone shot is
bro,
completely changing everything about Bateman's value stock. I've seen, the analytics on. There was a chart out there about, and Jeff, shout out to Jeff, injury guy at Heisman. He put in there a tweet with a lot of the data. Let me ask you, Mike, given that, like, what best ball, by the way, what are you thinking here?
Yeah, I want the Bateman. Give me the liquidity picks in the thirds. Bateman, Swift. Listen, these are two of my loves now. Now, full discretion, I was out on Rashad Bateman until we had Derek Brown of Fantasy Pros, D-Bro. That's why I'm doing the chat. That guy came on and flipped it on. Like, I am back in on Bateman because of him. And okay. I'm okay being wrong on Rashad Bateman at his cost. So
it's a player thing now for you, even more so than just necessarily process. Like you're right? On. Yeah. The
process wise, were these guys too that far off to begin with? Right. Even if I was out on
not
Rashad
really.
Bateman, no. Process wise, they were very similar, and they were in the same ballpark. Now I probably prefer Bateman at the wide receiver position a little more than I prefer my Philadelphia Eagle, DeAndre Swift. It feels so good to say that too. Adam, if you would have told me last year, you were like, hey, Mike, DeAndre Swift plays for the Eagles, I would have fallen out of this chair with excitement on how elated that made me, as how in on DeAndre Swift I was and how big of an Eagles fan I am.
We don't have to talk about it. I'm not really a fan, other than my shares of him being on your team. Okay,
but I will say this: they're probably in the similar ballpark. Like, I don't think too many people will fight me on that. And if you give me 2/3 on top of it in a best ball, where I can go buy you think about it, a third will buy you a lot of stuff in best ball, because there's a lot of guys who may make your lineup 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, who are only worth a third, right? Jamal Williams last year, only worth a third in best ball because he's old, he's crusty, he's a running back. Nobody gives a shit. There's a lot of wide receivers, a Brandon Cooks type, like 2/3. If I were to send somebody to the Brandon Cooks owner, would go, okay, here you go. Like, you take him. He doesn't fit my build. I don't really like him. So anytime you can get that extra liquidity on something that's very similar, I'm going to do it. So the Bateman 2/3, as much as I love Swift from previous years, which he always disappointed me, and the fact he's on my Philadelphia Eagles now, I'm still going Bateman. And Adam, I don't even think if we didn't have Derek Brown on, like, getting me on Rashad Bateman, all right. I think I'd probably still take the Bateman and the 2/3.
That's my next question to you. Talk to me in a best ball format. Let's just go 12-team Superflex best ball. Let's cut out the 1.75 tight end premium, start 11. All that's gone. 12-team Superflex best ball. What do the scoring settings have to be like? Like, or is there a pivot point for you where you say, you know what, I'll forego my thirds to go get Swift? Like, what does this have to look like, whether it's warp-wise or it's scoring setting-wise? Like, what does it have to look like for this trade to be the Justin side?
If it is lineup start 9, I'm in on the Swift side.
Fair.
I'm in on the Swift side. I think he's a good enough running back where you can plug him in from, when he's healthy. You're going to know when he's healthy, hopefully, to plug him in where it goes like, I'll give you a Bateman in 2/3. Because let's be honest, in a lineup start 9, if you're I just confessed my love and how Derek Brown has got me back on Rashad Bateman. But if you're starting Rashad Bateman in a start 9 lineup league, you're probably doing it wrong, and your team probably isn't that good.
Sure. So let me ask you then this. Given the warp of this league, by the way, it's a Dynasty Best Ball Booster. Okay, so this is one of those leagues where warp looks like what you would expect, right?
Like traditional.
The receivers tend to be a little higher, right?
Right.
But at the top point, like they're very similar. When you get to roughly 8, you start to see a little disparity, and then really though from 8 to 24, you're looking at minimal difference between wide receiver and running back, leaning to receiver. Yeah.
Okay.
My question to you is this. What do 2/3 buy you in best ball in a league that's start 11 in this type of a league? And then the following question would be like, you're an Eagles guy. If Swift stays healthy, these are 2 big ifs, stays healthy and gets when I say lion's share, I'm not talking, he's Saquon getting 90% of snaps. I'm talking he's getting 60% of snaps or something. What does a healthy DeAndre Swift look like in Philadelphia's offense in warp? Can that be top 12? Can that be top 10? And I guess the question is, because I'm with you, like in process, I want actually Goose's side. My question to you is there a scenario where Swift wins this deal because of what the thirds mean?
Possibly, but he's got in a best ball league, he's got to smash out of the park. Like he has
No, I
to
agree.
smash.
He does, which is why I'm asking, like, what does his ceiling look like in this Philly offense if he's healthy?
To be honest, like without getting
that's all I want. Please
it,
be honest.
Like ceiling wise, like Tony Pollard, what we saw last year, like he's got to stay healthy,
good, right?
Which was very good. Tony Pollard, as far as best ball spike weeks and consistency weeks, is RB7. Like that's very good. Like approaching that top 5, I don't think he ever breaks it. Like he's got to smash out of the ballpark to do it. But if there was a place to do it and a guy with the talent to do it in an offense that could do it, it would be DeAndre Swift. Now, I'm not going to predict that or say ceiling, but it really feels like Ramondre, Tony Pollard, 6'7" for best ball purposes is about right. Mm-hmm. But Adam, like you look at it and you go, hey, what can 2/3 buy you? The guys right behind him, Jamal Williams for best ball. Did he cost 2/3 last year? Yeah, 2/3 to buy you Jamal Williams just about everywhere, unless he was on a contender already where they're like, I know what I got. Like, piss off. Okay. James Conner was also, right? RB9 as far as best ball is concerned. Spike weeks and consistency weeks. 2/3 get you in the conversation at least, right? At the very least. Leonard Fournette, kind of the same thing. You got some other guys down here. Ezekiel Elliott now. Devin Singletary. Like you're going farther down the list, but then you also think about running backs that you could buy who are even farther down that cost a single third or worse. Raheem Mostert didn't cost you shit last year. That's RB25 as far as best ball and spike weeks and consistency weeks are concerned. So when you say it, Adam, they can buy you a lot in best ball, and it doesn't always have to be sexy. Now, does DeAndre Swift have an elite ceiling if everything goes right? Yeah, like top 5 isn't crazy to say. Like I think it's a little too rosy, but if you ask me, ultimate ceiling, DeAndre Swift has an immense amount of talent, and this Philadelphia offense is fantastic. Do I think Rashad Penny's anything special? No. Do I think Kenneth Gainwell's anything special? No. Boston Scott? No. So if Swift was healthy and he got 65, 70% of the workload and was catching passes and they started throwing passes to the running back just with how good this offense is, yes, you could look back and go, man, we should have all seen the fact that DeAndre Swift was going to finish as a top 5, top 6 running back. Yes, 100%. Sure, does it make it worth it? Yeah. In that scenario, yes. Is it more likely that he finishes RB, let's say, 12 to 18, yeah. And in that case, there's a lot of guys you could buy for a single third mixed in where it goes, yeah, I'll take one of those thirds. I'll buy one of these third running backs who could finish in that range. I'll take Rashad Bateman, who could finish as a wide receiver 3-4, just being very conservative. And I have a 25 third just left in my pocket in case I need to add it to a deal or go buy another one of these running backs or wide receivers.
That's fair. I guess because here's the thing. Process-wise, I mean, it's Bateman's side.
Right.
No doubt. Like,
Love side makes it difficult, don't it?
I shouldn't even say no doubt, but 2/3, I think the problem with 2/3, especially 1 in 25, is like, what does a 25 third really buy you? I guess is my biggest problem with the process, because if they're 2/24s for sure, I mean, I can package those up with what I have, and if I'm doing this process over and over, I'll have enough liquidity to make someone think. Here's, I guess, where I'm kind of struggling with. I want the Bateman side still, but like when I look at range of outcomes in best ball and what the picks will probably buy you, there's a couple things that are making me thinking about it in best ball. Because okay, we talk about startup values, Mike, right? So where do you think Swift's going right now in a best ball league that's with rookies included? Let's talk about it for a second.
I want to say 5th round.
Not quite. He's pushing it. He's in the early 6th.
Okay, I was pretty close.
I mean, that's a damn good guess. I'm not fighting you, by the way. I'm telling you, it's a damn good guess.
A far cry from us last year, taking him in the 2nd.
What about Bateman?
Oh man, people kind of hate Bateman.
Well, I think this new information about the cortisone is going to change his draft stock, by the way. But
I said maybe 9th round, maybe.
He's not cheating, but he always cheats because it's McNutted. He's a great guess.
Cheating.
No, I'm kidding. It's great guesses on both sides. That's what I'm trying to get to. Early 6th, Swift. Late 8th.
Damn.
So let me ask you.
Almost had it.
This is why I'm asking you, because this is a big deal on a few different lenses. Okay, one.
Right. In the startup, would you trade
Let's start
that?
for a second on the startup. One. You're going to go from 602 to 812, 901. And and someone's hitting you with 2/3. I'm telling you right now, I know McNutted. A single second's getting you a complete bird.
You're right.
Right up the ass.
Off at a second. Right?
And 2/3 is not even getting an offer. It's going to sit there until oblivion, and he's going to pretend like you never sent it.
That's a counter where I said it for your 24, your 25, and your 26 first because I'm an asshole.
So I know you won't do this on a startup.
Right.
I know I got you by the balls there, and it's okay. You don't have to admit it, but I know you won't do that. But here's the question. Now we have to talk the flip side about the player analysis, because process, I agree, it's Bateman. But let me ask you this, in a warp perspective. Like, what is Bateman's floor?
What is his floor?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, his floor is pretty shitty.
Well, this is where, Mike, because this is big. And I'm going to ask you this question in a warp perspective, because you know what I think his floor is? Is it even DPJ? Is it even Cortland Sutton?
Listen,
is it even any of these people? Because here's the question: Jahan Dotson, Mike. I could see a scenario. This is where the process, I think, for this is questionable. Not on the process of like you're getting 3 pieces here, but if Swift becomes a top 15, 20 back, and Bateman's outside the top 50 in warp, this is a minus EV bet.
Yeah.
Now, on the surface today, sure, but I see risks even in best ball, because the thirds are low, and a 25 third especially, man, is low. My only point. It's tough. I think it's tough. I just think it's tougher, and I put this on here because it is tougher. That's why we only have 6 trades, because I knew this one would be tough to talk about.
You hit it on the head too. Like Bateman's floor. Okay.
Scary.
Bateman's floor.
And I love Bateman. You know I love Bateman. I did a short on him.
The first thing I was going to go with was Donovan Peoples-Jones, and that was like Now
that was last year with no Elijah Moore, right? And here's what can I give you in this specific league? You know what DPJ's floor was, or what his warp was? I'm sorry.
No.
It's the exact same as Matt Collins.
Yuck.
And you know what that is? Bordering 50 at wide receiver.
Like, who cares? Like, you talk about DeAndre Swift, like, what's his floor? You think about it, realistic floor.
Oh, you know what? Can we say that last year was his floor?
Probably, but I think like his floor could even get grosser, and it's still a guy. It's still a guy that people like for some reason.
You actually think his floor could be worse than last year?
DeAndre Swift was better than AJ Dillon last year? I'm saying
I don't disagree with that. I'm talking about DeAndre Swift as a player. Now I'm not. Don't muck this up to AJ Dillon, all right?
I'm just saying, if we talk about
I'm
floor,
playing, by the way.
I look at it and I see where like I rank and how I value and how the community values AJ Dillon, and I go, if DeAndre Swift has another bad year,
well, hold on.
He's in that category of.
Let's talk just for a second on a couple things. A couple things. Last year, who do you think had better warp between a few players? I'm just gonna give you a bunch of names. You ready?
Okay.
I'm going to give you like 5 names.
All right.
Breece Hall
versus DeAndre Swift, right?
No, I'm going to give you 5 names and you give me the warp order.
Okay.
Breece Hall, David Montgomery, AJ Dillon, Najee Harris,
okay,
Jonathan Taylor, DeAndre Swift. Those are the 5. Go.
DeAndre Swift had a bad year.
For those of you watching that are like, move on to the next trade. Listen through this because DeAndre Swift had a horrible year. Okay.
AJ Dillon was probably the worst.
Okay. So we got AJ Dillon.
I'm going to say JT was towards the bottom, though, so he's probably second to last because he had a really bad year.
Okay. JT had a bad year.
Dillon. Who was the other one? Najee Harris?
DeAndre Swift,
Najee Harris,
and David Montgomery.
David Montgomery. I have no idea where the hell David Montgomery. He's got to be towards the bottom too. I'm gonna go Swift 1, Najee 2. Let me go Monty. Let me go JT. Let me go AJ Dillon. How'd I do?
Pretty good, actually. Right. So Swift was 2.
I'll take pretty good.
Swift was 2. JT was 1. Najee was 3.
JT was 1.
By the way, Montgomery. Now, one person I forgot that I started with. 5th of the 6, I gave you 6 because we've been drinking. So, Breece Hall was 5th on this list.
I forgot about Breece. I'm sorry.
And 6th was AJ Dillon. Now, here's the crazy part. All those players in warp. 0.62 at the high end, 0.5 at the low end in this league.
Wow, okay.
So
AJ Dillon's still 0.5 warp. Who knew?
Now, granted, if you were to run it in the back half of the season, I bet you AJ Dillon's warp was great. My point to you is this, though. Outside of the top 6 backs, everybody is lower than 1. But when you get to about AJ Dillon, you get another cliff in this league. So it's basically because it's best ball, right? Like you're looking at, you want those top 30-ish backs, and then I'm out. Point is, I don't think that DeAndre Swift's floor is worse than last year's, unless he just misses the whole season. And then is his warp even worse? He just didn't play.
That's fair. Fair.
My point is the floor for Swift is bad. But the ceiling for Swift is awesome. The floor for Bateman is out of the realm of we are even caring. Yeah, and the thirds don't make up the difference. Here's my point. I don't think it's as easy as it looks in process in best ball.
All right. I'm with you. I can get behind it. I still want the
Bateman. I want the Bateman side again. But I really do believe that's a lot closer than people want to act like it is.
Mike got so excited my camera fell off.
I was going to say, Mike is this is fantastic for the trade show. I'm going to read it off while y'all are looking at I don't know what this is. I'm good with it. Actually, this is fantastic. This is the best trade show we ever had. Mr. Wonderful, Matthew Stafford, Damian Harris, CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Ayuk being acquired for the A. Patterson side. Oh, we got a new angle too. Let's go.
Oh, no. This one's horrible.
Deshaun Watson, Jerry Jeudy, Randall Cobb, and the 207. Mike, this is fantastic. Don't horrible this to me. All right.
Oh, we ain't edited this one at all, is it? Like,
Of course not. You know who edits this, right? It's me. This is
the fucking camera just went. Too much DeAndre Swift. All right, Stafford, Harris.
See that was the floor of Bateman you just saw. That was what Mike wanted you to see.
That's fucked up, man.
I love you too. But 10-team Superflex PPR, no tight end premium, lineup start 11. Mike, if you want to pull up in Warp, it's called the War Zone for
Every
Mr.
time
Wonderful.
I pull up a 10-team league, a baby seal dies somewhere.
My goodness. This is I don't even know what to say. But I'll say this. I want one side of this deal. And I'll let Mike guess what the side is. But go ahead, man.
10-team Superflex, like quarterbacks don't matter as much, but I
You still want a high-end one, but it doesn't matter as much. I'm with you.
I definitely want Watson over Stafford. Like, that's pretty apparent.
Sure.
Lamb to Jeudy, a second. Cobb, like, CeeDee Lamb by a country mile.
Think about 10-team for a second, though, there. That's the biggest point.
Right.
There's no way in the world that Judy's in the conversation of Lamb and a 10-team.
Right.
And then when you talk about a 207 and a Cobb, like, I'm basically not even looking at those in the trade talks.
You get a free Brandon Ayuk, which in a 10-team, granted.
And Damian Harris. Now, granted, the question then becomes back to, is that enough on the Stafford versus the Watson side? Because in 10-team, you want a high-end quarterback. You want really two of them. But, like, I think that's where the trade really hinges on. So I want the McNutted analysis because, like, I can tell you with Warp, I pulled it up, by the way. I don't know if you have yet. You had the camera faux pas. I can tell you right now, Warp tells you what you need to know, but you already know this. I already know you know what side you need to take. I already know you do.
Man. I want the Watson side.
I
want the Watson side.
Can I tell you why?
Stafford sucks.
Can I tell you why it's so interesting?
Is that wrong?
No. It's not wrong.
Okay.
The reason the trade is interesting is because Stafford, when you look at Warp, is outside of the range of who cares in 10-team. So basically, Stafford's like a less than replaceable quarterback, if that would make sense. I don't know if you know what the bottom looks like in Warp, Mike. So everyone that's watching, if you're wondering about the Warp tool and all that. So how it works is you're going to run – Koopa's Warp tool is going to run through the settings of the league. So it's going to start at quarterback. It's going to go to running back. It's going to go to wide receiver, tight end, flexes, super flex. The replacement level player is in this league, which is start 11, you're going to have 10 of them. So the 12th player across all the positions is the replacement level player every single week. Okay? So the reason I want to make that clear is because Matthew Stafford last year would be below the replacement level player every single week in this league. He would be outside of the replacement level player every single week last year because it's a 10-team league, right? So reason I bring that up is, like, I like Mr. Wonderful doing what he's doing, but I just want you to know that the Stafford part you're picking back up is a total bet on health and resurgence to 2021. Because if it's 2022 or even in the realm of that, like, it doesn't matter in this league at all. It's actually almost like, I don't want to say roster clogger, but it's kind of that way unless there's just a week you need to fill him, you know?
So he's got to get back to, like, Cooper Kupp breaking fantasy level and
he needs yak.
Super Bowl
He needs a lot of
territory.
yak. He needs health. He needs a line, and he needs yak.
And if I said I didn't want to bet on that happen,
because if you don't want to bet on that happening, Mike, here's what you're looking at. Last year in this league, Lamar Jackson was equivalent in warp to Evan Ingram. Which, by the way, Evan Ingram is completely irrelevant in this league. So the reason I'm saying all that, though, is also flipping the nail on the head to how important fucking CeeDee Lamb is, Mike. I mean, my goodness. He's basically every bit as valuable as anyone not named Mahomes or Burrow or Allen, okay? To give, like, context. You know what this is all about? At the end of the day, because CeeDee Lamb's not going out to the top, like, 6, outside of injury. This is all about a Watson bounce back. Because here's the thing. If Watson is a top 3, 5 quarterback, we're having a conversation where the Patterson side smashes this. But if he's not, there's no way CeeDee Lamb doesn't win this trade, right? So, like, when I look at this, you know what the crazy part is when I say all that is it comes back to Jerry Jeudy. And in this league, I don't want to bet on Jerry Jeudy, which is why I'll take the top side as much as I hate Stafford. And I love Watson. But, Mike, here's my problem. Do I think Watson in this format, like, I think Watson's going to be a top 8 quarterback next year. I don't doubt that in the slightest. Top 12 for sure. But to me, this league is about top 3 or top 5. That I'm not sure I want to bet on versus CeeDee Lamb. That's my problem. And that's where, like, I really want to say that league settings are so different. Because I want to bet on Watson, but not at the cost of intenting. Like, I could find a Fields or Cousins, for example, last year, Mike, was great. Like, I could go get Cousins and just keep my CeeDee Lamb. Now, if you're a truther on Watson, yeah, I want that side. But that's 10-team. Like, it's hard to speak on it because I don't play in a lot of it, but I just, dynamic-wise, I get why you want the CeeDee Lamb side. But Stafford's a 0. I want everyone to know this. Getting Stafford back is almost a 0. Unless you think he's going to be this elite weapon he's rarely been. I don't want him.
It's so weird to have a super flex conversation where it's the quarterback versus the wide receiver, but I think you hit it on the head where it's Lamb versus Watson. And to be honest, like, there's a realistic scenario where Lamb is only like wide receiver 8, 9, 10, 11.
Yes.
And Watson, if that's the case, man, if you look at last year's warp, not as favorable for those quarterbacks. But go back to 2021, Adam, and look at the QB warp.
That's like where you would be right. Because if Watson is the 2020 version, you want the Watson side. That's why I talk about it too.
Not even like if I mean he's a 2020 version where he's a top 4 or top 3 option. If he is just in that range, and I'm looking at 2021 warp where he's QB 11, QB 9, QB 10,
right,
like in that range, like he's beating out CeeDee Lamb. And if he does that, like now it becomes Ayuk for Jeudy. Who gives a shit? Stafford.
That's a tier
Matt
trade.
Stafford's
that's the same thing.
Fucking 0 at this point, right? We've already discussed like he's a 0 at this point. You got Damian Harris for a second, okay? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I'm in.
It becomes a lot grosser where it's like, yeah, just take the quarterback in that scenario. But if Watson is not, and we have like 2022 warp, which was historically bad for quarterbacks. Let's be honest about that, and always preface it.
It was very top heavy and very low for the rest. Right.
Yeah, the rest suffered because of injury. If it's more similar to that, and Watson's not in the top 4, yes, you're 1,000% right. But I think it's more likely Watson is probably, somewhere between QB 6 and QB 12.
Correct. And that's where, like, running even running the warp. By the way, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
And if Lamb is not an elite, like wide receiver 3,
that's the other big thing, right?
Wide receiver 3 or 4, and he's more of that. He was a wide receiver 1. He had a good year, blah blah blah. Like, he keeps his dynasty value up there. But from a war perspective, Like, I'll take the quarterback even in a 10-team Superflex league. That's why I say where this is such a dangerous trade for me, because the quarterback coming back is a fucking who cares. It's a who gives a shit. Right? And you're sending away a good one.
You bring up a good point, too, though, on the back end, which is, what do you believe in the way the league is shifting? Because if the league is shifting where the numbers show, like wide receivers, warp is probably going to grow the next few years because the elite ones will separate themselves. But here's the crazy part. If you go back to 2020, Mike, forget CeeDee Lamb for a second. Let's just talk. You said wide receiver 3, right? What about wide receiver 1?
Right.
In this league in 2020, the wide receiver 1 was Devontae Adams, 1.84. The quarterback 5 and up, which Watson was 4, 1.86.
Right.
So for example,
you could be the wide receiver 1 and still lose to
Watson has a opportunity if he bounces all the way back.
Yeah.
Not necessarily in market, but in warp, he can beat CeeDee Lamb. My biggest thing, though, is, Mike, the combination of what Watson has to do to overcome, because he's never going to, at his age, despite, like, forget the off-the-field issues, which will always, for whatever reason, be a part of it.
Yes.
Like, his market will never, ever get back to Houston, ever.
Yeah.
Unless he's like rivaling Mahomes, like, holy hell, what are we looking at here?
Right. If he comes out and he scores 32, 33 fantasy points per game next year,
all bets are off. Forget everything that we talked about.
Wins the MVP, takes the Browns to deep playoff run.
Well, we're in the Super Bowl.
Then
all bets are
people
off.
Fucking have amnesia, and
no one knows what happened in 2020.
Right.
But
forget it all.
Aside from that outlandish, random, not likely to happen scenario,
you'd be insufferable if that happened. You would be insufferable.
You guys think you don't like me now.
For you.
You guys don't. You think you don't like me now, 50 minutes in on like our third trade. Right. Wait till you see this. But point is, I think Lamb's market, and this is again where maybe you tell me I'm crazy, in the 10 team, I think his market is so much safer.
Right.
Given on top of that, the points per game and all that, still arrows where he could win out. That's where I think I want that, because like when I think about it in 12 team, it's so different. It's literally the polar opposite, right? Like if I had to replace one, I'd rather replace the receiver. But when I go to 10 team, not playing enough, but I know the market's the opposite. Like I could replace a Watson in a 10 team, wherein like we already know the way receivers trending. You ain't replacing CeeDee Lamb, man. Like in market, you can't. That's the reason I say the top side, but
I get you.
I'll be honest, man. This is one of those where it's all about Watson, personally, for me. Like, what is his ceiling and what can he become?
We will do whatever trades come across the board, but damn, I hate 10 teams. Not as much as I hate 1 QB leagues, but I still hate 10 teams.
Can I ask you, I want to know how much you hate this trade. Not necessarily on one side or the other, but like, it's a lineup league. 12 teams start 10. I know it's a tight end premium. They didn't give me how much. D-Rec, by the way, Conquifador on our Savage tier.
What a name.
Fantastic name. I'm actually looking at it right now. And again, no other settings other than just tight end premium. So I don't know the premium. Conquifador, give me the league name. This is what I ask. See, I ask simple things, Mike. And whether it's on the show with Mike and he won't give it to me, or it's in the trade channel, I don't get it. So let's just talk about it from generically, man. Like, it's a standard tight end premium, 1.5, 1.75. Let's call it in that range. Right. Full PPR, 12-team lineup. Do you want to bet against Pitts, or do you want to take Pitts here? It's basically Njoku and a first for Pitts in a third. Really?
1.5 tight end premium, right? If I look at Kyle Pitts' rookie year, he's a .41 in the warp.
Okay.
So I think the biggest question you have to ask yourself is with Kyle Pitts. Like we look at his rookie year, .46 warp in his rookie year, one of the better rookie years we've ever seen. But I also don't think that's anywhere close to like what Kyle Pitts' ceiling could be. Mm-hmm. I think it's kind of more like an average outcome for Kyle Pitts, which is completely possible. Now, last year was absolutely horrendous and horrible. Quarterback play was disgusting. Offense was horrible. But Adam, if I really think about it, market value too, which we've touched on prior trade shows, tells me that Kyle Pitts is worth a whole hell of a lot more than David Njoku. Now, I'm a big David Njoku buyer, and the first is obviously nice. I have no interest in the Keontae Ingram part. Like, I understand he put that he's a rebuild. You can keep your Keontae Ingram. I'll keep my third. Thank you very much. You keep your Keontae Ingram. I'll keep the third. So this is a Kyle Pitts for David Njoku and a first. I understand it's a tear down, but it's so much easier for me to move Kyle Pitts for a haul than it's ever going to be for me to move David Njoku for anything worth a shit later on in a rebuild. So I'm not going to lie here. I probably want the Kyle Pitts side, even though getting the first where it is, I have no idea where it projects. Now, if this was, you were telling me I'm making a bet against somebody and I really just want to get their first off of whoever the hell owns Bullish's 24 first, if he's a horrible team, I can see it because I could turn that into a Drake May, Caleb Williams, Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't know if Brock Bowers is going to carry that same weight, but if you told me like, hey, this is a locked in top three, all right, give me David Njoku and a top 3 pick in 2024. You can have your Kyle Pitts. As I've learned, warp doesn't really matter for them not named Travis Kelce.
Right.
So this is pretty easy, that side. But with what I know now, Kyle Pitts, man, just because people still love him, I can move him for a ton later.
You know, this one's really interesting. Tests a lot of things on loves, hates. I mean, like
he's still on the sticker in the background. Don't forget that. He's
you see that. You see that wing. His eyes are not there, so he's not looking at me. But the wing is ever floating.
Oh, he's looking at you. I know.
Well, I mean, of course he is. You just can't see him looking at me. But I also like. I remember vividly telling Mike, "Listen, man, I know you don't believe it. This is when Brissett was quarterback, and Njoku's happening, and he's like, I'm not buying it." Now, Mike's in now, right? But he just said, relative to cost. We're talking about Kyle Pitts now. The hardest part about this, and Conquistador, DREC22, anyone watching the trade show, anyone submitting trades to the channel ever, this is why I ask context, because I'm sitting here and I'm looking at, like, the whole time that I'm listening to you talk, and I mean, don't get it twisted. I'm listening to what you're telling me.
Right.
I'm out here playing with Warp in the League Simulator. And I literally tried all 3 of these managers against each other, and I'm thinking one of them is not in a good enough portfolio, which will tell me, right? So I type in DREC22. I type in Trav Bob. I type in Bullish. And guess what? There's way too many leagues in a 45-second to 2-minute segment to figure out what's the common league and then run the simulator. Because here's the thing. Honestly, this 24 first that's from a Bullish, which is not included in the trade, it makes it the hardest. You found it? Did you really?
I can tell you. Well, because
no,
like,
did
we
you
haven't been able to officially announce this yet. But there's a certain tool out there made by a certain
Sleepier. What does Sleepier tell you?
So he only owns David Njoku in one single league. DREC22 does. And it's Dynaholics. Dyna/Holics.
Okay, so hold on. Let's do it.
So
did you run the simulator?
I did not. I just wanted to find you the league.
Okay.
Where you could get the simulator, you could get the warp, you could get the whole thing in. Sleepier, made by our guy JCap, which
Dynaholics. Wow.
So I
talk about a find.
Talk about the fact that we have such awesome
despite
tools.
Despite the fact that Mike is completely wrong on the goats and a lot of things, that is a find, and I will never ever spite Mike, because that's I'm honestly, I'm speechless. I'll give you credit, man. You win.
I don't like
you win.
the fact
you
that
win, okay?
You're trying to fill time while you run the warp in the league.
But you win. I'm telling you, you win.
You got to take shots at me because LeBron James is the greatest basketball player to ever grace this planet Earth.
I can give you LeBron James love right now. Love. And it's obviously self-fulfilling, but
I know. It's fine.
I'm running this though, and wow.
It could.
Can I tell you the truth?
Yeah.
So I just now realized for the first time this brand of Show 21. This team, this third, it's 301 212. I mean, this team has no chance of winning a game.
So
it's the first team I've ever seen below 1 win. Ever.
Jesus. That's
so it's
impressive.
like full tank mode. It's basically like you just have a third. Like, forget that.
Right.
I'm not getting it back.
I get you. Right, the 301.
The crazy part that sucks is I don't know the team names for these other two. But let me say bullish. Again, I don't see here. This is killing me. Pull it up, Mike. Go look at it right now. Dynaholics. Because the team name in the sleeper user ID can be different. That's the worst thing that's happening right now. Conquistador. I'm going to edit a lot of this out, but I want you to know that I hate you. All right? Because this is terrible. All of our tools are not functional because we don't know names.
Yeah. Let me just say, though, I can't look at League Simulation and know what his team is. But his team is not good.
Is it Dookie? Who's
Bullish's team?
Is
Bullish.
Dookie?
So he does have a Justin Herbert,
Okay.
which is nice. Like Justin Herbert's nice. Najee Harris. This is his current starting lineup, by the way, in this league.
Oh man.
Najee Harris. You're like, okay. Raheem Mostert. Start 10 lineup, mind you. Keenan Allen, Jahan Dotson, Jordan Addison, Mark Andrews, Dawson Knox, Robert Woods, and in his superflex spot, Chase Claypool.
I want D-Rec 22 side. And Conquistador, I still hate you. All right?
I still hate you because you didn't put all the other stuff on it.
And by the way, nothing's getting edited. You guys are all gonna grind through the silences that were forced upon me. If that's truly the starting lineup, see, that's the context I need to know. That makes me take David and Njoku.
He has no other quarterback on his roster.
None. Mike, can I tell you, and everyone watching, this is the second to last trade, I think. Yeah, we got
the best player coming off his bench is DJ Chark.
Can I tell you why though? People may say, okay, so it's like a top 5 pick. But why does that make you want the other side? If you think Kyle Pitts is so great, which we've talked a lot about him.
Right.
But can we talk about the specifics of why we want the 24 first and Njoku here? Because here's the thing for me.
Kyle Pitts could have a good year. He could have a good year.
Not just that. He could get back on track to be that guy.
That's fair.
And we agree with that, right?
If Kyle Pitts does get on track to be that guy, right? Think about where Mark Andrews is going right now in a startup, and think about where Caleb Williams, Drake May, Marvin Harrison Jr. will go in a startup at this time next year. They're going to go ahead of Kyle Pitts. Unless the tight end premium is like a start 2 tight end, a full point premium, whatever, right? Where tight end warp advantage is so good. They're going to go ahead of Kyle Pitts.
The only difference would be
you win that one, you just delayed it a year. You got a David Njoku as a throw-in for the 301. I'll take that.
So let me just say this, right? Right now, Kyle Pitts, despite a completely awful year, and given the trade that we know, I'm not going to go do what I was going to do and read you all the metrics which tell you to buy Kyle Pitts. Because for this price, I'm not buying him. But he's still the 310, right? But if you think about it, right? Kelsey's the 210 in ADP on South Harmon, which is all pulled from Sleepy. Not Sleepier. Sorry, I'm doing the JCat thing. From Sleeper.
Yes.
If Kelsey Mike was 23, Like, this is, I think, what people that really lean into the Kyle Pitts thing do. If Kelsey was 23, what is he? If Kelsey was 24, where does he go?
Right.
Here's my problem. Let's even say Pitts rebounds, like big time. He's not Kelsey in warp. I hate to tell you guys. He's not. He's not last year's Kelsey. He's not 2 years, 3 years ago's Kelsey in warp. It's Ritter throwing the football. There's London. It's a run-first offense. They drafted Bijan in the top 10. He's not getting into the top probably 8, 10, 12 picks in Superflex outside of a outrageous year. But Mike just hit it on the head. You know who will? Because I can tell you right now, Anthony Richardson, who, you guys are debating over Fields at the 108. Caleb Williams will step in without a football jersey in the NFL. He can still wear his USC jersey and be the 108. Right. Drake May will flirt with, second-round draft capital ahead of Kyle Pitts. And I'll tell you who's definitely a first-round pick if he has the season that we all expect him to at Ohio State, is Marvin Harrison Jr. will be in the range of conversation, which will be wrong, but he will be there with the elite wide receivers in the NFL with an Ohio State jersey on. So the point is to what Mike's making.
Right.
If you're telling me I get Njoku plus that, I'm in. Because even if it's this is again where I need context. If it's not north of 2-point tight end premium and the lineup start 10, I want the other side. Like, I'll just take the replacement level mitigation, which is going to be, I don't know, 0.2 to 4 at best case scenario for the Pitt side versus a first, which has elite upside. Like, it becomes not close given what I know about the pick.
So the two worst teams in the league, man. We didn't get context. I had to do the digging. The two worst teams in the league by far, not even close. You're right. A brand of for show 21 when you run the league simulator is the worst team in the league. Right. But the second one is this bullish dude, and I guarantee you.
Oh, is that Depression era garbage man?
Yeah, that's probably.
No way.
Bad. It's got to be the second worst team.
Can I tell you that then? You know what's crazy? You guys will call me crazy. I would take that minus the Njoku side.
Just the pick.
If you're telling me this pick has top 4 potential, I'm in. Right now. Right now. And you give me Njoku and, just tell me where I need to sign the dotted line.
That's bad. Listen, D-Rec, you didn't give us any of the context we needed, but we'll just do some digging, man. We're like
the worst part is we had to do all that to tell you win, which it should have been easy.
Right, because in a vacuum the trade's horrible, and I'll take the Kyle Pitts side without.
But that's why we want all the context, because context is king. But here we are, having to show everyone why he won the trade. All right, Mike, I needed this. The only reason I put this on here was strictly for Mike and McNutted. Kilmo.
Let's go.
Once a Savage tier member, down to the $1 tier, and here's the thing: still thriving. Look at this.
Still taking advantage.
Mike, I'm not reading this. You have to read this. Your trade's a part of this.
Kilmo's getting Trey Lance and a 24/5, which is my pick
of McNutted.
Defending champion, by the way. We'll just throw that in there. Defending champion, going back to
the 512.
The 512. Yes, the 512, the dead last pick in this rookie draft. And Schlumpf, another patron of ours, Savage member, getting Zay Jones and a 2026 first-round pick.
What?
2024, not 2025.
What are you talking about, bro?
6.
Man, y'all crazy. Mike, wait, when did they – I'm kidding, but when – 26 first, they're available in sleep.
Can you name me a player? Can you name me a player of the 2026 NFL draft?
Yes. The equivalent of Trey Lance.
That's fair.
No, but I mean, honestly.
We're supposed to put our campus to Canton knowledge to use right here.
No, but.
I got nothing.
I'm sorry. It's not about the 26 class for me. forget names. Like, I'm gonna go Scott Connor on this. You can remove names from this analysis, and this is strategic process. Okay, let's say Trey Lance really fails out. I'm talking everything that every blog, all your Twitter posts say, all the hater says comes to fruition, which I'll be honest, I'm not buying. Let's say that happens. So let's say miraculously Brock Purdy can start week 1. They're like, he's going to go under center. Trey Lance doesn't get the chance. He gets traded. He goes to a new team. Mike, I don't know for sure in that scenario, given the delay in time here. Now think about this for a second. We're recording this on June 19th. You're watching this, it's actually over a week from now, but it's still June 2023. Like, that pick is not actualized. Now, I don't know what you can do with it in the league settings, but I'm in this league, and I can tell you it's not. No one's going to treat it like a 23 pick, all right?
No one gives a shit.
Right. Like, it's not actualized for 1,000 days. And let's say, if I'm being nice to you, you can actualize it in trade value in like 700 days. I am willing to lose 1,000 days on the edges that I think I can play up in best ball. Like, the easiest way I can illustrate that is, I'll take Trey Lance. Everybody hates him. I know he has no market. And if I completely flame out on this pick, I lose 1,000 days worth of gaining it back at 60%, which would I believe that I trade at on a plus EV. And guess what? If y'all win, y'all win. And I will lose. I'll happily lose. But I believe that given the time difference, this is absolutely foolish. Schlump, I know, is a pick order, and I know that he can play this as a single trade into a win for him. But when I look at this trade, I'm out. I'm good. Y'all got it. Schlump, it's not that you're across the country or nothing, but I'll take the time.
Across the country, he's across an ocean, man. That man in Germany.
Sorry, across countries. He's
countries.
He actually sent my daughter some awesome clothes from all the way across country, so I love it.
Yeah, I'm good with you, man. 1,000 days. You can send out one trade offer a day, and you got 1,000 chances to get this pick back for less than you paid it. I'll take that. Those are good odds. Those are great odds.
I will say, though, I'll say this. If it wasn't Trey Lance, like, let's say it's not a quarterback in best ball and it's not super flex, I also have played up, like, grabbing those picks, which was 2024 and 2021 season. Like, I know you can win this way. But for Trey Lance, I'm willing to find out. If that makes sense. Like, now, if you're telling me this is, the Zay Jones side that I'm getting for the 2026 first, you can piss off. I'll hold for 3 seasons, but y'all got it. Last trade, Mike.
Yeah.
This is it. This is gross. It's actually a goose. Marvin Mims, which was 304, the 404, or Devin Singletary and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I knew it. I knew that face was coming. And I almost wish you could see the bottom of our South Harmon FF page where the poop emojis kind of just float around. Like, I don't know if you've seen that much. They just float. That's what your face kind of looks like right now. So
why did you do this to me? Why?
Because you need it.
Did I make you mad?
No, you need poop mouth,
It's because I said LeBron's the GOAT, didn't I? No. I gotta discuss this shit? This is fucking disgusting. Listen, I'll take
you've done a lot of things wrong, but this is just because of actually a goose.
Marvin Mims, Denzel Mims. I don't give a shit. Does it really matter? Actually, it probably does.
It does. But yes, it absolutely does.
I'll take the Marvin Mims, I guess.
Marvin Mims or CEH.
Marvin Mims.
Marvin Mims or Devin Singletary.
I guess you could probably make the case for like Devin Singletary.
You can.
Right?
You can.
Probably. I don't fucking care.
All right. Denzel Mims. No. All right. So all right. So now, if we say
how about Denzel Washington?
Denzel Washington. Wow.
101. Let's go.
Seriously though, Marvin Mims versus Singletary. Do you want Singletary in lineup start 9? 10 team?
Maybe.
You do.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. 404 CH.
Can I just say that all these guys are junk?
You can.
Yeah. I think they're all junk. Why did you do this to me?
You needed
Which
it.
side would you like? None. I don't.
While you were out there, investigating, I was like, you know what? He needs to know what I look through in the Shithead Trades channel to give context. And this, Mike, I'll be honest. The hardest part about this for me was realizing it's not even the fact that our patron I don't think wins. But let me say this. Marvin Mims in a 10-team start 9 can be the winner of this deal.
Can be.
But he has to super exceed by a lot like what we think his outcomes are. Like
he's got to be Amon
let's call it what it is.
Now.
Yeah, Russ has to take a step forward. Like what you saw last year, all the turmoil, the playing stuff, him being a diva, having his own office, all goes away. Sutton completely evaporates into thin air, gets traded. He's basically like on par with Judy as a 1A, 1B. And Russ steps forward. Okay, yeah. Right. Then you win. Like this is why context is key. 10 teams start 9.
Shallowest of the shallow.
Like I play in 12 team start 9. I can tell you there, I basically liquidate any form of receiver in the Mims range, and literally don't look back.
Right.
And if they win, I just laugh like I missed. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say it's like the shallowest of the shallow, but we do have one guy who tunes into the YouTube chats because I see the questions every now and then. It's like 1 QB, 8-team league, start 7. Like
I saw that recently.
I feel so bad too because I'm like I don't know. Just whatever. Go with your heart.
The worst part about this, Mike,
close them.
Is for those of you that can't handle like OCD. The worst part for me is not knowing that I don't know what the 404 is. All right, for those of you that can't see that, I could give a fuck what the 404 is. Okay, I don't care. No tight end premium. The 404 is. I mean, it is fab. Period. Like I'll trade that for a couple bucks fab.
I gotta know.
Now, here's the thing. The worst part is knowing that I look at this trade, Mike, and you think it's about LeBron. It's about that you have to admit that Devin Singletary is the best piece in this deal. And that is why we end the trade show on that note, because I don't care what you say. That is the worst thing that could have possibly have happened to the 4DHS Dynasty Trade Show. That is terrible. I hate Devin Singletary. I hate CEH. I kind of like Marvin Mims, but in that format, I can't advise anyone to do anything.
I'm never forgiving you for this. Ever. It's unforgivable. It's unforgivable.
It's unforgivable.
Hope you enjoyed the show. Jesus. If you stayed this long and stayed through that, I'm sorry. I'd like to formally apologize to you. I had no control over this. This was not my idea. I swear, if Devin Singletary or Clyde Edwards-Helaire make the thumbnail, I'll probably delete the channel.
What if they make the show?
They already made the show.
What if they came on the show like, boom, Devin Singletary is here. I hate you. Are you going to do that? I know you won't.
I would not tell Devin Singletary I hate him to his face. I'd be like, you're a good player.
I love watching you play. as he laughs.
I got a lot of shares of you on my fantasy squads.
Speaking of which, if you have a lot of shares, if you are a Dynasty gamer, patreon.com/South Harmon.
Yes.
If you do want your deals featured on the show and you want Mike in tiers, which maybe not good tiers, but this time he was.
Yeah.
For now, $1 a month. Maybe not forever. Second, if you don't care about what Mike says, which I'm not going to blame you, Warp will tell you all that. SouthHarmonFF.com. Go to the Warp machine, Warp worshiper, whatever you want to call it. That will tell you what you need to know about Devin Singletary, Marvin Mims, and CH in a 10-team league. I will admit, you better have a computer screen up because you have to scroll down quite a bit. Right. Last and not least, if you don't care about any of that, you don't want to give us any money, totally understandable. Go down if you could, if you find this enjoyable. You hate it, you're here. Subscribe, comment, like. Right. Tell us that, you want Marvin Mims, you want CH, you want whatever you want in the trade, or you want the trade removed like Mike does. Fine with all of it. Give us all of that as one. Aside from that, it's been a good show. Mike, let me ask you, given the deals outside of the last one, any ones that stuck out to you? Or
the Njoku was one. The Njoku one.
That one I think is so different based on what the pick value is, right?
Yes. So you look at it one way in a vacuum. This is why you're talking about context is key. Knowing all the details, putting all the details in there. If you're a shithead and you want your deals featured, we're going to start demanding more, man, because I got to know. I can't come out
I need to know.
This is trash. I'll take Kyle Pitts every single day of the week. And you're like, Mike, that's probably the 102.
Here's the thing.
Shit.
If you guys, you want R&B, you want Mario Winans, I don't want to know. This ain't the trade show for you. We want to know. I want to know. And on that note,
I was going to go something more like 80s classic rock.
Go ahead. What do you got?
I want to know what love is. I want you to show me. No.
I will never cut McNutted off while he's singing on the show at the end, the tail end especially. We will see you back here. Same time, same place, next week. Mike, you got anything else? Any notes?
Cut this off. It's worse.
We're out of this thing. Peace.
Peace.